Welcome. I bid you welcome. John Clauser, Johnny Metal, the Metal Dad, coming to you not exactly in my music corner of the world, but I am actually in a corner. I don't know if you can kind of see that there, but I wanted to just do a quick video here. Yesterday, I was at the DDPY Performance Center in Smyrna, Georgia, for day one of something called Transformation University. It was a special event they were doing, like a graduation event. And I just finished a workout with DDP himself. And it was a killer. Just saying. 2-minute squats, man, that's no fun. I'm just saying, just get that in your head. So I noticed that my phone had been blowing up. And I think a lot of other people probably were too, because a lot of us are wrestling. A lot of us DDPY folks are wrestling fans as well. I was getting all kinds of messages here, and I'm looking, I'm like, what? You gotta be kidding me. And it was true. Hulk Hogan, the Hulkster, brother. Yeah, he's gone. This has been a rough week. First Ozzy, well, before that, first Theo from The Cosby Show. Ozzy, George Coymans from Golden Earring, you know, for all you Radar Love and Twilight Zone fans. Chuck Mangione, and yeah, Hulk Hogan. You know, this week I've lost a couple of big pieces of my childhood and teenage years, and even into my adult years. I first saw Hulk Hogan wrestle at the first show I ever went to in Allentown, Pennsylvania at the Ag Hall. It was a taping, and it was the taping they did right after Larry Zbyszko turned on Bruno Sammartino. So there was a lot of stuff going on with that, but I do remember Hogan coming out. He was managed by Classy Freddie Blassie at the time. He was a heel or a bad guy, depending on how you want to look at it. And he would be around the WWF for a while, chasing the belt from Backlund, and of course they wouldn't give it to him. And then he left and went to the AWA and over in the Midwest, and was wrestling with Verne Gagne and all them. And there was a lot of stuff going on with him, trying to get the belt from Bockwinkel and Nick Bockwinkel, and then of course then the Rocky 3 thing comes along, and he does that, and you know, and basically Hulkamania is being born right before our eyes. And then you know, fast forward to 1983 when when Bob Backlund drops the belt to Iron Sheik in a rather controversial way to some, and then a month later here comes Hogan, and the Hulkamania was completely born. And then you know, the way wrestling has grown and transitioned from there started taking place. You know, and it changed the face of professional wrestling for a long time. And you know, it became more than just your promotion, you know, your regional you know, nights at the bingo hall kind of thing and stuff like that. You know, this just really expanded out to when you know, they're packing stadiums out for WrestleMania or SummerSlam or stuff like that. So Hogan was part of some of the biggest main events. You know, you think of WrestleMania 1, the tag match with Mr. T versus Paul Orndorff and Roddy Piper, with Bob Orton in the corner. You know, WrestleMania 2 with Bundy, King Kong Bundy, and then of course the biggest of all, Andre. You know, WrestleMania 4 with the tournament, WrestleMania 5 beating Savage, WrestleMania 6 losing the belt to Ultimate Warrior. You know, there was some, he was a part of some big matches, you know, and I think about those all the times I would watch him on TV or pay-per-view. I mean, man, it's the Hulkster, right? So, was I a big fan? Yeah, that's to be debated, I guess. But the only other time I think the only other time I ever got to see him live was in Salisbury, Maryland. And the girl I was dating at the time, her grandmother ran a flower shop, and someone had ordered a long stem white rose to deliver to Hulk Hogan this one night. And my girlfriend was very adamant about trying to get this delivered directly to Hulk Hogan, because she was a wrestling fan too. And so, but she was really adamant. She wanted to fulfill the delivery, right? Yeah, unfortunately, the furthest we got to go to somebody like a backstage, you know, services person, and they said that was the best we could do. We couldn't get any further than that. So I was like, well, we tried. But I never got to see Hogan again after that. Been to many wrestling events, but never got to see Hogan again after that. Even in the WCW when he got into the NWO and all those things. Yeah, I never got to see him. When they came back to Salisbury, like for the NWO, he wasn't there. You know, it was everybody else, but he wasn't. I always say when it came to the WCW that the NWO, that our claim to fame was that we got Buff Bagwell, or Buff Bagwell joining the NWO and turning on Scotty Riggs. So, you know, but I mean Hogan, and then when Hogan turned heel for the NWO, you know, I remember that morning and looking at, I was talking with my ex at the time, and I said, you know what? I bet I know who that third person's going to be. And this is referring to the tag match with, it was Scott Hall and Kevin Nash, and they were the Outsiders. And they were taking on Sting and Lex Luger and Randy Macho Man Savage. 6-man tag. But there was a third man, but nobody knew who the third man was. And of course, everything breaks down. Luger gets knocked out. He gets taken away. So it becomes a traditional tag match. Well, then things break down further on in the match. And here comes Hulk Hogan. And you hear Dusty Rhodes say, Hulkamania! And then you hear Bobby Heenan say, yeah, but what side is he on? What? And I was like, I said to my ex that morning, I bet it's going to be Hogan. She looked at me like I was nuts. Yeah, who's nuts now, huh? Right? No. That was a wild night watching that live on pay-per-view. And you know, you couldn't help but feel the emotion in that arena as they were filling that ring up with all the cups and all the garbage and all that stuff. But after the NWO, I kind of left wrestling for a while, and I really wasn't Hogan wasn't really like my thing anymore. He was kind of getting too old for me to really get into anymore, and so I never really followed him that closely through when he came back, and then I didn't keep up with him in TNA and stuff like that, but I won't deny that that was a big part of my childhood and in my early adult years. And say what you want about him, you know, everybody makes mistakes. For anybody who complains about him being racist, well, you know, I bet you may have been a racist at one point in your life too, and you just didn't know it. You make mistakes too. You know, as they like to say, he who is without sin cast the first stone. Yeah, that's how I think about it. So it is what it is. Professional wrestling wouldn't be what it is without Hulk Hogan. So Rest in peace, Hulkster. Thank you for inspiring millions to say their prayers and take their vitamins. And thank you for what Hulkamania was all about. John Clouser, Johnny Metal, Metal Dad saying, rock forever, y'all. Brother!